Ah, this stuff sucks. Hello and welcome to Vancouver Carpenter. So today, I'm going to show you guys how to install, a small amount of iron-on edge banding. So what we have here is, this is a veneer of wood, like a long strip of wood, and it's got this heat-activated glue on the back side. So what we use to install this stuff is an iron, and I usually trim it just with some chisels. Now I know there's better tools to use, but I don't actually have them or know exactly which ones they are. So for those of you pros and know-it-alls that do know what it is, can you guys mention in the comments what the best and most economic tools are that you can buy for trimming off edge banding? For anybody that say has a whole bunch of closets to do, or they're masochistic enough to try to build their own cabinets ironing on edge banding. So let me know in the comments what the best tool is. But today, for like just one piece of edge banding, you've got some edge banding that's falling off a cabinet and you just need to get it done because you're tired of looking at it, well, this method is gonna work really well. So what I got here is I got a nice set of chisels. Now I wanna make sure that I'm using a pretty sharp chisel. I often like to use a wider one, so 1.25 inches. Now, I'm just gonna give this a real quick push on here. It's not doing too bad. In fact, I barely use these because I'm Vancouver drywaller these days. But I'm just give it a real quick push on the blade. Even though this is actually a wet blade, I'm supposed to use this with water. But just to get it sharp. So if you have an old beat up set of chisels and you have to do this, maybe you wanna just go buy a brand new chisel. It doesn't have to be the best quality chisel, it just needs to be new and sharp. So that's feeling nice and sharp, good enough for the purposes that I'm doing today. This is my camera bag, do you guys like it? So you want to make sure you don't have any super rugged edges on here, nothing that's going to get in the way and stop the bond, but it's looking pretty clean. I just cut this. So when I install this stuff, I like to make sure that it hangs over just a tiny bit on each side. And there's a reason for that, and that is, for one, it's really hard to actually line it up properly along the whole edge. So you're going to have to trim it anyways. And number two, I find the thicker the side you have to cut off is, so the more of it that sticks out, the more likely your chisel is to wander when trimming this because it'll follow the grain. But when you split both sides and you have two very small pieces to cut, it just seems to chisel off a lot easier. So my iron is hot and I am just starting at the end here and I'm just leaving a little bit hanging over, lining it up, heating it up. And so what you're waiting for is for it to start bubbling. You're gonna watch it start to bubble and you'll know that the glue has been activated and really starting to soak in. Hold it back, line it up, and take your time here. It needs a fair bit of pressure and time to do a good job. And I find with this stuff, it's better to be more thorough, like take your time and make sure that it's really melted in than to do it too quickly. Also, when you haven't done this for a bit and you're not paying attention and talking to the camera, you might pull it too far, and I pulled it too far. So now I've kind of messed it up, guys. So I'm actually gonna pull it off real quick. Now because I'm still in the middle of this, I think I can get away with it. But yes, I dragged it, so be careful about that. Don't pull it. I'm just gonna stick it back on and get that glue going again real quick. So be cautious of that. Don't drag it. That's one mistake you could make. Believe it or not, in spite of what you just witnessed, I've actually done this too much. So I'm really making sure that I iron that good again. Because I don't think pulling it off and ironing it back on is a very good thing. If I had more of this tape, I would actually redo it. I would start from scratch. But I literally had 6 feet of this tape left in my storage, and that's how much I need. And this is for a shelf in my basement, so it's gonna be okay. But if you're doing a job for somebody or you've got a bunch of this to do, then yeah, pull it off and redo it. I'm moving along down the line. Again, waiting for it to bubble. And I like to kind of move back and forth and make sure that I've really got it evenly glued on. I forgot how time consuming this is. And we haven't even gotten to chiseling it off yet. The other thing I do is I also kind of push on the corner a bit, and I push on this corner a bit like that, just to make sure that the corners are really stuck down. Because if the corner is a little bit not stuck down, then what can happen is it'll lift off, like something will give it a little nick and it'll start to pull off. You don't want that. Okay, we're just getting to the end here. I really hope the light is good enough for you guys to see the bubbling action. But yeah, you just want to wait till you watch those bubbles form. You want to give it a little bit to cool down before we start chiseling it here. I'm just using this block to kind of press down this end and take a bit of the heat out so I can get started chiseling from this side. I've clamped down the workpiece to stop it from moving as easily. Now I'm going to start from this direction, and I'm just chiseling this off really carefully. So I'm just doing this until I get a nice flat spot to start. And this is part of the reason you want a chisel that has no nicks or dings in it. It's because it's going to be passing over this pre-finished birch. And I get kind of a flat spot to start from. Then I can speed it up a bit. And I don't always try and take the whole thing off in one pass. Like I said, the thinner the piece is that you take off, the less that it follows the grain and tears. Alright, now we've got less, and I'm actually going to put the chisel flat. So I'm resting it completely flat against the piece of wood. And now I'm just following it. So I actually wasn't following my own advice, and I tried to take off the whole thing in one go, and I chiseled into my edge a bit. But thankfully, while I'm relearning how to do this, this is the bottom side. If you find it catching, go the other direction, and maybe you won't be having that problem. So far this is unacceptable. Thank goodness it's the bottom. But I'm going to push from this direction now. Taking the bulk off. Finish pass. And I'm also kind of sliding in this way. If I'm pushing it all this way, it's going to want to pull it off. So I'm kind of sliding as I go. This way is working a lot better. So sometimes you guys just need to experiment a little. You know, do a test piece, because you never really know exactly which way the grain's going to wander or how it's going to tear, but now it's working no problem. So the key here when doing this with real wood finishes is if it's not working in one direction with the grain, like if it's tearing, try the other direction. As you can see, it was going okay when I went really slow. I tried to speed up, it did that. I tried again, it did it a bit. But I came from the other direction the whole way, and then it was good, no problem. So experiment. I just had an idea. Let's experiment a little. Let's see how a sharp knife blade works. I mean, what if I'm doing it the super hardest way? That's definitely a good way to get the bulk of it off, because this side was on thicker. It had more overhanging is what I mean. Well, that worked really well to get the bulk of it off. Now I'm going to try pushing this. Yeah, that's going real smooth. Ooh, well, that was pretty good. Let's test my theory and push the other direction now. Well, that just went a whole lot better in general. That's more what it's usually like. That first push was kind of embarrassing. That's looking pretty good now. I'm happy with that. And I didn't get any tear out, and this is on my top edge. Kind of sawing it. with a really sharp knife. There we go. The next thing I like to do is just take a bit of sandpaper and really carefully take off the hard edge. If you've got pre-finished wood, then you want to make sure that your sandpaper isn't rolling over on here. So this side is actually unfinished. So I can really easily sand that and focus on there. There we go. That's looking good. Let's take a quick look at it. So this is the bottom, the first try. And it's not too bad. I mean, I can live with it. And then we've got my shame gouges, my bigger shame gouge. So be sure to experiment at first. Try it on a scrap piece. So that's my slow and painstaking method for getting a piece of edge banding onto a piece of plywood. So yes, I know there's better ways, and I'm sure you guys have all told me, but if you need to get that done and you haven't found a good video showing you how to do it, well, you know, here's a video. So thanks for watching Vancouver Carpenter. I hope you guys got something out of this. I need to get to more videos. This is for a shelf on top of the laundry machines that my wife's been asking me for 6 months. So as soon as I get this installed, there's no more socks falling behind the washer and dryer. Anyways, I'm blabbing. Thanks for watching Vancouver Carpenter. Till the next video, you guys.